which fools the software and into giving up false results, and our planning is flawed. So you need to remember this thing. Now moving on to the time calculations using the same network, I have put in some random duration to the activities. A to B for C 1 day, D 4 days, E 6 days, F 7 days. We'll be assigning normally these time calculations. So, rule number one, step number one is numbering the events. Here, foot rule method of Parkinson's rule we need to follow, which states we start off the numbering of events from left and from top to bottom, which means the event on the left hand side would be one, and as we move along, see if there are two events falling in the on the same axis, then the number or the event which is higher along the y-axis will have a least number, and the event which is having a lower y coordinate will be getting the greater number. So we have correspondingly numbered our events. That is, A starts with 1 and ends at 2. B starts at 2 and ends at 3. Similarly, C starts at 2, ends at 5. D starts at 3, ends at 4. Similarly, goes on up to 10. Next step is finding the path from start to end. In this setup, uh, try to find out the paths. I have lined up the same for you in the next slide. Let's go. There are three paths possible as we go from event 1 to event 10. They are represented by three lines over here. One is orange, yellow, and red. Path number will one first path will go from one will be having activities A, B, D, F, I, and J. Path number two will be having activities A, B, D, then dummy activity E, G, H, and J. And the third part over here will be having activities A, C, E, G, H, J. Now to calculate the length of the paths and the critical path, we'll be adding timelines to it. I've just summarized the three possible paths over here. Calculating the times, first path was 1A, 2B, 3, which is events will have a zero time, dummy activity will have a zero time. So if we add on, first path has a duration of 21 days, second path has a duration of 27 days, third path has a duration of 20 days. So the second path being the longest will take precedence over the path convergence events for event time calculations, which will be followed by this, and this is also called the critical path. This is the most important path, or this gives you the duration of the project. This gives you critical activities that need to be monitored without fail. Any delay in these activities will definitely directly hamper your project duration. Moving on to event time calculations, there are two types of event times. That is earliest time at which an event must occur so that the critical path does not change. It is calculated in forward pass. Forward pass means adding up the timelines from start to end. Second type of time is late time. It is the latest time at which an event must occur so that critical path does not change. Means it is basically giving you a play in a certain event that it can be delayed, but the critical path will not change. This is also I'll show you in the following slides. It is calculated in backward pass. Means We calculate the time, we move from last event to the first event, subtracting the duration of the activities. So just to simply summarize, I have made a graphical representations of a representation of our event. Event times can be seen over here. Event 1 is happening on day 0, event 2 is happening on day 2, 5 on day 4. But so this is a basic summary, but now let's move on to the forward pass. Forward pass is simple. Event 1 is having 0 time. TE for event 1 is 0, as it is the it marks the onset of the project. We move to event 2, which is done, means which oversees activity B. So 0 plus 2 will result in 2. Now our paths diverge. Event 3, 2 will be added to 4, will be having an event time 6. C will means, and event time of 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 on 5. But 5 marks the start of activity E. Activity E cannot start until activity D finishes. So 6 plus 4, 10. The TE for event 4 will be transferred to event 5, as for the dummy activity the timeline is 0. So at event 5 we have two TEs, that is 3 and 10. So consider a situation where I have to start an activity and my work depends on completion from two people. One is Mukesh, another is Ramesh. Mukesh has finished his work in 3 days, and Ramesh completes in his work in 10 days. So when can I start my work? Once both of them finish their work. So what is the earliest time that I can start? It is the time that is given by Ramesh. So that means 10 days. It is a very simple concept, easy to remember. In the forward pass, whenever the paths are converging, whatever the maximum time is coming, take that. Moving on, similar case we can see at event 9, where from path number 1 we are getting a timeline of 7 days, and from path number 2 we are getting a timeline of 24 days. So we'll be taking the maximum, that is 24 days. Here we can see even 10 has TE of 27, which was equivalent to our duration of second path, which was the longest path. Now calculating the backward pass, we'll be moving from activity 10 to activity 1, and we'll be subtracting the durations from 10 to 0, 27 to 0. Similar, 27 will start off from the right hand most corner. 10 minus 3, 24. Now the paths diverge. 24 minus 7 would give you 17. 24 minus 2 will give you 22. 17 minus 1. Similarly, when you come on D, you'll be having two TLs, one from path number 2, that is 10, and one from path number 1, that is 15. 22 minus 7 is equal to 15. Ignore this 17, this is a typo error. So in the backward pass we have to choose the minimum of the two values, that is 10. Now this is a simple representation of event times. You can see over here in the black in the corner, I have given you a simple layout of what means what. Time written over the event is Earliest time, the one written below is the lowest time. Similarly, we were discussing TL, the latest time when a activity can start without delaying the project. So over here, you can see at a event can occur without delaying the project. There is a difference between, sorry, TL and TI of event 6. That is, TE is 17 and TL is 22. That means there is a play of 5 days in which in happening of event 6, which means even if we change the duration or happening from 17 to 22, the complete path duration will not change. This is a separate activity that you can do and try it on. I have summarized the same for you. The difference of all the events falling on critical path is zero. Difference of all the TE and TL for all the events falling on critical path is zero. Now moving on to activity time calculations. There are four types of activity. First is early start. It indicates the earliest date at which an activity can possibly start based on its predecessors and successors. It is also it is similar to your TE. It is calculated in your forward pass. Early start is equal to early start can simply be considered equal to early finish of the predecessor activity. Now, what is early finish? Represent the earliest date an activity can possibly finish of all the predecessor and successor also finish on their respective early finish dates. It is also calculated in forward pass. Early finish is equal to early start of the activity plus duration of that activity. Now, next is late start. It represents the latest time at which an activity can start without affecting the planned project finish date. That is, without increasing the duration of the critical path or changing the critical path. It is calculated in backward pass. Late start is equal to late finish of the successor activities, less activity duration. Late finish indicates the recent date an activity can finish without extending the finish of the project. It is also calculated in backward pass. Late start. Okay. Now I have summarized all the activity times for you. I have taken the example from. I have continued from the previous example. Say activity A duration was 2 days, early start would be zero as it is the start of the activities. Adding on the duration, we'll be getting early finish as 2 days. Moving on, where there are convergence, you need to note for having two predecessors, take max of early finish of predecessor activity. See, for activity E, early start would be maximum of C6 and D, that is 10. Now, when we go into backward pass, 27 early finish will move on to late finish. We'll be subtracting duration of activity J. That will bring it out to 24. Similarly, moving up, the activity having two predecessors, two successors, we need to take late start as minimum of successor activities. For activity D, it has two successors, that is E and F. So late start for E is 10 and for F is 15. We have to take minimum of these two, that means 10. This is a comprehensive summary of the activity types. You can finish it up, means you can carry on the exercise. I'll be discussing a few more important concepts that are used in development of an even a schedule. Here I have tried to represent the network that we had developed in an activity on node format. Here Yellow represents the early start, blue represents early finish, uh, this skinish color represents a late start, and light blue color shows late finish. The number in the green is the duration of the activity. Now we'll be discussing some of the important concepts that are used to analyze the project or the critical path. First is the floats. There are four types of floats: total float, free float, interfering float, independent float. So, total float is the duration by which an activity can be delayed without increasing project duration. It can be calculated in two parts. First is total float for an activity, and second is total float for a path. Total float for a path is calculated simply by subtracting the duration of the path from the duration of critical path. Secondly, the total float for an activity is given by late start minus early start. Then moving on to free float, duration by which an activity can be delayed without delaying the early start of the successor activities. Free float is given by early finish of the current early start of the next activity minus early finish of the current activity. If you try to calculate in the current example that I'm using, early free float will be zero. Floats continued, that is interfering floats. Interfering floats, float means duration by which the start of an activity can be delayed without increasing the project duration. It is simply the difference of total float and free float. Independent float means duration by which an activity can be delayed without delaying the early start of the succeeding activities and without being affected by allowable delay of predecessor activities. It can be calculated by successor early start minus earliest predecessor late finish minus activity duration. Then there are relationship between the activities, that is fs. Start of activity 2 is dependent upon finish of activity 1. Start ss, start of activity 2 is dependent on start of activity 1. ff, finish of activity 2 is dependent on finish of activity 1. sf, finish of activity 2 is dependent on start of activity 1. Dependencies, uh, there are two types of dependencies: lead and lag. First, lead, start or finish of activity 2 is advanced on start or finish of activity 1. These dependencies are used in combination with your relationship to formulate a complex schedule. Then there is lag, start or finish of an activity 2 is delayed on start or finish of activity 1. Moving on, if we master our basics, one day we'll be able to develop a schedule like this. This is a screenshot from one of my schedules in from MSP. So moving on, these are the basic softwares that are used today in market. That is Microsoft Project, Primavera 6.0, Candy, SAT Scheduler, Microsoft Excel. This is the most widely used software. Here are some reference books. These you can note down to go into the depth of the concepts that I have just discussed.